Now joining us, Justin Allegri, the San Jose State radio play-by-play on the Deseret First Credit Union. Justin, how's it going?
How about yourself?
Great. We're doing great today. Now, we have to start with this. We read on your Twitter bio that you're in MLB The Show. You're the radio show on that. How'd that come about?
A little bit of luck, a little bit of timing. But yeah, so PlayStation, who produces that game, I have a connection down there, and we went through a process of about 80 different applicants and kept narrowing it down, and was fortunate enough to be chosen for it. So this year will be my second year on the game. We're actually doing some of the recording here in the coming weeks, and I'll be on for this year's game and then the following as well. So at least 3 years on there, which is a pretty big deal for me, and I'm very fortunate to be on that game. If you guys play it, it's a real fun game. So I played it growing up. Of course, now that I'm on it, it's even more meaningful to me.
So now when people find out that you're doing this, I want to know how many people ask if you can get them a free copy of the game.
A lot. Yeah, everybody comes out of the woodwork. Hey, so did you get that copy of the game for me?
They probably just expect you to have a bunch in like the trunk of your car.
Right. Just whip them out and throw them at them, sign them for them if they want, right?
You can rent it for $2 at Redbox. Just saying, that's an easy remedy. So with the San Jose State team, 8 games in so far, 4-4. Some interesting numbers, interesting storylines in this game. But where do you think San Jose State's at right now at 4-4?
It's been an inconsistent team this year, and it really was out of the onset of the season because the Spartans couldn't really figure out who they wanted to start at quarterback because there are two really different style of quarterbacks that they run with. Joe Gray, more of a pocket passer, has a better arm, and Kenny Potter is more of the read option type of quarterback that can run the ball. And so the first couple of games of the season, they were going back and forth. They finally landed on Kenny Potter against Oregon State, and then he got injured. So it was back into the mix of going to Joe Gray, and then Kenny Potter came back. So I think now we're starting to see, even though we're 8 games in, that the Spartans are getting a little more consistency out of the quarterback position. It's odd to say more than halfway through the season, but because of what happened in the beginning of the year, they're getting a little more consistency out of the quarterback position, which helps the offense and alleviates some of the stress off of Tyler Ervin, who has really carried a lot of the workload on the offensive side. So I think this Spartans team at 4-4 is really starting to turn the corner in terms of offense. And it's a nice time for them to do so because, you have the stretch run and this being a non-conference game, but the next 3 that the Spartans have are very meaningful Mountain West games. So I do think they're going in the right way in the offense. And 4-4, yeah, but it's just been inconsistent throughout the first part of the year.
You mentioned Tyler Ervin and just how good he has been for this offense. You can look at the stats and see the numbers he's putting up, but I'll ask you, what makes him such a good back?
Well, if you ask him, he says he's the most humble player, one of the most humble players I've ever met. And he'll say, well, the offensive line is opening up holes, and I'm just hitting them. And to a degree, yes, that's true. But Tyler has the ability to go to full speed, which is a very, very quick pace, in the span of maybe 2 steps. He'll be gone. And so if he can beat that first level of defense, he's into the secondary, and you're talking about a 10-yard run. So he does that so effectively, finds a small window. He's a small back, but he can take the hits, and if he has a small window, he can fit right through it, and he's off to the races. So I think his effectiveness comes from the little gaps that he can run through and the speed in which he gets to full speed. It's just a couple of strides and he's gone. So, but again, it's a lot has to do with the offensive line, and he'll tell you the same thing.
Also a dynamic kick returner. Yeah, watch for Tyler Ervin tonight in the game. On his bio, Justin, it says that he is a barber and has 10 to 15 clients. So is he a better barber or running back, and would you trust him to cut your hair?
I would trust him to cut my hair, although I don't know if I would look as good with power fade on top. I'm not exactly sure about that. No, but he's actually gone pretty hard into the barber. He's got a legit barber's chair.
The pole and everything that spins.
Well, I don't know about the spinning pole.
Okay.
I don't think I've seen that outside of his apartment. I haven't been there, but he very well could. But he does most of the haircuts for the team and some of the coaches. So
some of the coaches.
There has to be trust there. If the coaches are letting him cut the hair, he's got to be pretty good then.
Well, he is. He's very good, and he'll work with the players, and you can tell a Tyler Ervin haircut when you see one. I may not be able to describe it, but you can tell when somebody's had their haircut by Tyler, and I think it's more therapeutic for him, to be honest. He's a people person. He likes talking with people. He likes hanging out. And I really do think it's more of a therapeutic type thing for him. And he's one of the quiet leaders of the team, not just in the statistical categories, but he is a leader on this team, and he may not be as vocal, but everybody trusts him. Everybody looks up to him. And so I think, outside of the haircutting, there's a lot to be said about what he does for the players on this team.
Justin, let's switch to the other side of the football and talk about the Spartan defense. We know how good they are against the pass. I'll ask you, though, how legit is that ranking and the numbers they're putting up or not allowing to be put up, knowing that they really haven't played the upper echelon types of offenses?
Right, and I think that is something that we'll see tonight. How truly good is this Spartan secondary? Because you're right, last year the Spartan secondary was very, very good, but teams are running all over San Jose State's defense. This year, a little bit of the same. It's been a better rush defense. The Spartans have played 3 triple option teams, so you imagine that those numbers are going to be skewed as it is. But when teams do throw against the Spartan secondary, they have not had success. Now, this BYU team that's coming in is more of a passing team than anybody the Spartans have seen this year. So it'll be a true test for the San Jose State defense. And my thinking is that the Spartans will have a good game, but I do think that a spread team like this with big, tall, wide receivers and an accurate quarterback will get some more yardage against the Spartans defense tonight.
Justin Allegri is the San Jose State play-by-play. He's on BYU Sports Nation. What, in your opinion, does San Jose State do better than BYU?
I think it's the defensive side and the secondary, honestly. That is their strength. And the Spartans know that if they can get turnovers off of their secondary, they'll have a chance in any game. And so my thinking is with the team, the way that BYU is rolling right now, the Spartans need to get a couple of turnovers and win the turnover battle in this game. And that's how they're going to stay in it, because we know the potency of the offense of the Cougars. Now, and I mentioned how good of a passing team they are. They also have 18 rushing touchdowns this year, I think scored by 7 different players. So they can also run the football, and we may see a little bit more of that just to try and exploit the Spartans' run defense. But I do think the Spartans' strength is their secondary and also their playmakers on the offensive side. Now, we will not see Tyler Winston, who was a Mountain West Freshman of the Year a couple of years ago. He's out with an injury for the rest of the year that he sustained in the last game the Spartans played. But there are a lot of really good one-on-one playmakers for this team. We talked about Ervin, but Billy Freeman, the tight end, is really good in the open field one-on-one. So I think there are some elements to this game which do favor the Spartans.
When you look at the fan base for the Spartans, how are they handling this right now? I know I've seen some stats that attendance has not been great. I know I'm pretty sure we expect a lot of Cougar fans to show up tonight for the game in person. How's the fan base reacting to this team right now?
They're kind of reacting the way the team is playing, and our fan base throughout the time I've been here has always been up and down. If the team's winning, there's a lot of fans in the stands. If they're not winning, we're not seeing very much. And it was evident after the San Diego State loss, which was a very bad loss. Spartans probably played their worst game of the year against San Diego State in front of one of the better crowds of the year, because San Jose State had just come off of a win in overtime on the road at UNLV. And then the Spartan fans see the loss at San Diego State, and we had one of our worst crowds the next game against New Mexico. So it's up and down. We do have some faithful fans that'll be out there. My concern is the 8:30 kick, which I know you guys are probably loving too, is that some of the Spartan fans, may just stay for the first half and then say, hey, it's too late, I'll go watch a game on TV for the rest of the night, because it will be a late game for a lot of our fans.
Justin, BYU is entering the Mountain West Conference portion of the schedule. They're going to play 3 Mountain West teams in November. Who, in your opinion, is the best team in the Mountain West Conference right now?
I looked at Boise State and said, hey, they're probably the team everybody needs to beat. But then they just got obliterated by Utah State, and I think they're on a roll right now, even though they've had their issues at the quarterback position with injuries and whatnot. But out of the Mountain Division, I think they're the favorite as it is now, just because they did what they did against Boise State. So I think they're probably the leader at this point. And out of the West Division, San Diego State's playing the best football right now. They're on a roll. They're 5-0 in the conference. They have a running back in Donnell Pumphrey that really, really does a nice job, and he's kind of like Tyler Ervin taking a bulk of the load. But those are the two division leaders, at least. But I do think that Utah State's probably the team to beat at this point. And Boise State's a very good football team, too, don't get me wrong. But I think just because Utah State handled them so easily, they're the leaders.
So for San Jose State to pull off the upset tonight against the Cougars, what has to happen?
+2 in the turnovers. Spartans have to be +2 at least. And I think that's going to be the key. You can't give a BYU team too many options on the offensive side. Spartans need to turn them over and get the ball on their side in order to keep pace with a high, potent offense like BYU has. So I think +2 in the turnover category needs to happen.
Justin, great stuff. Good luck on the call tonight, and we appreciate the time.
Hey, thank you very much, guys.
Justin Allegri on the Deseret First Credit Union Hotline. Deseret First, your values, your timeline, your financial future.